Commander Veltar watched his tactical display with growing horror. The human ship had destroyed 27 of his vessels and was still advancing toward the Nexus Gate. Every weapon his fleet possessed had been used against the small vessel, and nothing had worked. "Sir, the human ship is hailing us," his communications officer reported. "Put them through," Veltar said, his voice tight with stress. Captain Jiho's image appeared on the main screen of the alien command center. Behind him, the bridge of the Teguk's Fury looked calm and organized, nothing like the chaos filling the Nexus Gate. "Commander Veltar," Jiho said politely, "we don't want to destroy your entire fleet. Please order your ships to stop attacking so we can discuss this situation." "Discuss?" Veltar's voice cracked with anger and fear. "You've destroyed 27 of my ships." "Only after you fired first," Jiho replied calmly. "We asked for peaceful passage. You chose violence, but it's not too late to choose differently." "What are you?" Veltar demanded. "Our scans show primitive technology, but you're fighting like you have weapons beyond our understanding." On the bridge of the Teguk's Fury, Dr. Yuna Shin leaned toward Captain Jiho. "Sir, I think this is the moment to show them the truth." "They're ready to listen now," Jiho nodded. "Commander Veltar, you're right that our technology is beyond your understanding. But not because it's more advanced. It's because it's completely different from yours." "What do you mean?" Chief Engineer Dowan Kim's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, should I show them the real ship?" "Do it, Dowan." Throughout the Teguk's Fury, systems that had been hidden behind masking fields began to reveal themselves. The ship's hull flowed and changed as nanomaterials showed their true nature. Energy readings that had appeared as simple fusion suddenly displayed as quantum tunnel drives. Weapon systems revealed themselves as controlled antimatter launchers disguised as chemical rockets. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. "Computer," Jiho said clearly, "show our guests the full truth." The space around the Teguk's Fury began to shimmer and change. What had appeared to be one ship suddenly became hundreds of smaller vessels, each one connected to the others through quantum communication links. Veltar's officers gasped as they realized they had been fighting not one ship, but an entire fleet disguised as a single vessel. "Impossible," Veltar whispered. "Not impossible," Jiho explained. "Just different. Your species developed large ships with powerful weapons. We developed swarm technology with distributed intelligence. Each of these smaller ships can act independently, but they work together as one mind. But our scanners saw exactly what we wanted them to see," Communications Officer Hana Choi added from her station. "Our quantum computers can make your sensors believe anything we want them to believe." Dr. Yuna Shin stepped forward. "Commander Veltar, we're not your enemies. We came here seeking peaceful contact with galactic civilization. You forced us to fight by refusing to listen. Peaceful?" Veltar laughed bitterly. "You've destroyed my ships." "Only after you tried to destroy us first," Tactical Officer Mina Lee pointed out. "And we could have destroyed your entire fleet in the first few seconds if we wanted to. Instead, we've been very careful to target only military vessels and avoid unnecessary casualties." Veltar looked at his tactical display again. It was true. The humans had destroyed exactly enough ships to prove their point, but no more. They could have wiped out his entire fleet, but they had chosen restraint. "What do you want from us?" he asked finally. "The same thing we wanted when we arrived," Jiho replied. "Safe passage through your territory, so we can establish diplomatic relations with other species. We want to trade, to learn, to be part of the galactic community. But if you have technology like this, why do you need us?" Dr. Yuna smiled. "Because technology isn't everything, Commander. We have much to learn from other species about art, culture, philosophy, and ways of thinking. We don't want to conquer anyone. We want to make friends." In the Nexus Gate Command Center, Veltar's officers were studying the new sensor readings from the human fleet. The science officer looked up with amazement. "Sir, their technology is based on completely different principles than ours. They use quantum mechanics, where we use energy fields. They use biological mechanical hybrids, where we use pure machines. It's like they evolved science in a totally different direction." "Is that why our weapons don't work against them?" "Yes, sir. Our shields are designed to stop energy-based attacks and physical projectiles. Their adaptive armor learns from each attack and becomes immune to it. It's like fighting an enemy that gets stronger every time you hit them." Veltar felt the weight of centuries of hegemony policy pressing down on him. For thousands of years, his people had controlled access to the galaxy by maintaining superior technology. But what happened when another species developed technology so different that superiority became meaningless? "Captain Park," he said finally, "if we allow you passage, what guarantee do we have that you won't use your technology to conquer other species?" "The same guarantee we're giving you," Jiho replied. "Our actions. We could have destroyed your entire facility by now. Instead, we're talking. We could have taken the Nexus Gate by force. Instead, we're asking for permission. But you said you would take it by force if necessary. Only if you continued to try to stop us with violence," Dr. Yuna explained. "We will defend ourselves, but we prefer peace. That's why Earth sent a scientist and diplomat on this mission, not just soldiers." Hana Choi looked up from her communication station. "Captain, I'm receiving transmissions from other species throughout this region. Word is spreading about what's happening here. Many are asking if they can make contact with us directly." "Other species?" Veltar asked, surprised. "Yes," Jiho said. "We've been monitoring communications throughout this sector. There are dozens of intelligent species in this region, but your hegemony has prevented most of them from traveling freely or contacting each other. Those species are not ready for advanced civilization." "Says who?" Mina Lee asked pointedly. "Who gave the hegemony the right to decide which species are worthy of freedom?" Veltar had no answer for that question. It had always been the way things were done. The hegemony maintained order by controlling which species could travel between star systems. "Captain," Dr. Yuna said gently, "we're not here to destroy your civilization or your authority, but we are here to change things. The galaxy is big enough for all species to share it peacefully. And if we refuse to allow this change," Jiho's expression became serious, "then you'll discover that humans can be very stubborn when fighting for something we believe in. We've traveled across the galaxy to get here. We're not going home empty-handed." Veltar looked around his command center at officers who were waiting for his decision. He thought about the 27 ships he had already lost and the hundreds more that would be destroyed if this fight continued. He thought about the thousands of years of hegemony control that might be ending. Today, most of all, he thought about the fact that the humans had won this battle before it even started, and they were still willing to talk instead of simply taking what they wanted. "What exactly are you proposing?" he asked finally. Captain Jiho smiled for the first time since the conversation began. "Let's start with letting us through the gate. Then we can talk about opening it for everyone else." The command center of the Nexus Gate exploded into chaos. Officers shouted reports while alarm systems wailed throughout the massive station. "Sir, the dominance is gone. Completely destroyed." "How is that possible?" Commander Veltar demanded, staring at the tactical display where one of his ships had simply vanished. "Their weapons showed as primitive chemical explosives." "Sir, we're analyzing the explosion signature now," reported the science officer. "The energy release was impossible. It's like they converted matter directly into energy." Veltar felt cold fear growing in his chest. "That's antimatter technology. Only the most advanced civilizations have controlled antimatter weapons." "But sir, our scans showed chemical-based projectiles." "Then our scans were wrong," Veltar shouted. "All ships, maximum alert. These humans are not what they appear to be." On the bridge of the Tegak's Fury, Captain Jiho watched the alien response with calm satisfaction. Hundreds of enemy ships were changing formation, moving from casual intimidation patterns to serious battle positions. "They're scared now," observed Tactical Officer Mina Lee. "Look how they're spreading out. They don't want to lose multiple ships to one shot." "Good," Jiho replied. "Fear makes them cautious. Cautious enemies make mistakes." Communications Officer Hana Choi monitored the flood of alien transmissions. "Captain, their fleet commanders are demanding explanations. Many are calling for immediate retreat. Others want to attack with everything they have." "What about Veltar? He's ordering a full assault, but his subordinates are questioning the decision. Some are asking how a primitive species could have antimatter weapons." Chief Engineer Dawan Kim's voice came over the intercom from the engine room. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildups from their fleet. They're charging weapons and preparing to fire everything at once." Dr. Yuna Shin looked up from her analysis station. "Captain, their psychology has shifted completely. They're no longer thinking of us as primitives. Now they see us as a serious threat that must be destroyed immediately." "How many ships are targeting us?" Jiho asked. Mina checked her tactical display. "All of them, sir. 837 vessels. They're coordinating for a simultaneous attack designed to overwhelm any defense system. Jiho nodded. This was the critical moment. If humanity's new technology failed here, Earth would never get another chance. Dewan, activate the adaptive armor systems. Yes, sir. Nanomaterial defense grid coming online now. The hull of the Teguk's Fury began to change. What had looked like simple metal plating started to shimmer and flow like liquid. Microscopic machines in the armor began analyzing every type of energy and projectile that might hit the ship. Hana, begin electronic warfare. Show them what human computer technology can really do. Understood, Captain. Deploying quantum encrypted viruses now. Throughout the alien fleet, ships began experiencing computer problems. Navigation systems flickered. Weapon targeting became unreliable and communication networks started failing. The aliens had never seen computer viruses that operated on quantum principles. Sir, an alien communications officer reported to Veltar. Our computer systems are under attack. The humans are using some kind of electronic warfare we've never encountered. How is that possible? Their computer technology appeared primitive. I don't know, sir. Our antivirus systems can't even recognize what's attacking us. Veltar made a decision that would haunt him forever. All ships fire immediately. Don't wait for coordination. Destroy that vessel now. The first wave of alien attacks reached the Teguk's Fury seconds later. Energy beams that could melt through mountain ranges struck the human ship from dozens of directions. Projectile weapons that could crack planets hammered against the hull. The human ship absorbed it all. Damage report, Jiho called out. No damage, Captain, Dawan reported with satisfaction. The adaptive armor is working perfectly. Every energy type they use just makes our defenses stronger against that specific attack. Impossible, Mina said, watching her displays. They just hit us with enough firepower to destroy a small moon and we didn't even feel it. The nanomaterials learn from each attack, Dawan explained. By the time they fire a second shot of the same type, our armor has already adapted to make that weapon useless. In the Nexus Gate Command Center, panic was spreading. Sir, direct hits on the human vessel. Did we destroy it? No, sir. The ship appears completely undamaged. What do you mean undamaged? We hit it with everything. Sir, it's still there and it's moving toward us. Feltar watched in horror as the small human ship began advancing directly toward the Nexus Gate, passing through his defensive lines like they didn't exist. All ships, focus fire. Everything you have! The second wave of attacks was even more intense than the first. The aliens used every type of weapon in their arsenal, from particle beams to gravitational crushers. The space around the Teguk's Fury filled with destructive energy. The human ship continued forward, completely unharmed. Captain, Hana reported, I'm picking up panic in their communications. Several ship captains are requesting permission to retreat. What's Veltar's response? He's refusing all retreat requests and ordering them to continue the attack. Their mistake, Jiho said calmly. Mina, select 12 targets. Show them that our defense isn't our only surprise. Mina's fingers flew over her controls. Targets locked, Captain. 12 ships in optimal positions. Fire. The Teguk's Fury responded with a spread of what appeared to be simple missile weapons. To alien scanners, they looked like basic chemical explosives, no different from the shot that had destroyed the Dominance. 12 alien warships vanished in brilliant flashes of controlled antimatter destruction. 13 ships destroyed. An alien officer reported to Veltar. Sir, we have to retreat. Their weapons are destroying our vessels with single shots. No retreat, Veltar screamed. We are the hegemony. We do not run from primitive species. But sir, they're not primitive. Look what they're doing to us. Veltar looked at his tactical display. 13 of his finest ships were gone, destroyed by a single vessel that his scans had said was barely capable of spaceflight. The remaining ships were firing constantly but causing no damage to the human vessel. Sir, his science officer said quietly, I think we need to reconsider our analysis of human technology. What do you mean? Sir, what if they developed along completely different lines than us? What if their approach to science is so different that our scanners simply can't understand what we're looking at? Veltar stared at the human ship, which was now only a few thousand kilometers away from the Nexus Gate itself. It moved through his defenses like they were made of paper. Are you saying they're more advanced than us? Sir, I'm saying they might be so different from us that the concept of more advanced doesn't apply. They're just Different. And that difference is beating us. On the bridge of the Teguk's Fury, Captain Jiho opened a communication channel to the Nexus Gate. Commander Veltar, this is Captain Park. We've tried to do this the easy way. Now we're going to do it the hard way. Prepare to surrender the Nexus Gate or we will take it by force. The transmission ended, leaving Veltar staring at a tactical situation that made no sense. One small human ship had just defeated his entire defensive fleet, and it was still coming. Commander Veltar stood in the command center of the Nexus Gate, looking at the tactical display with satisfaction. The human ship appeared as a small red dot surrounded by hundreds of blue dots representing hegemony vessels. Report. Veltar ordered his second in command. Crixon, sir, our detailed scans confirm what we suspected. The human vessel is approximately 300 meters long, made of basic steel and titanium alloys. Power source appears to be simple fusion reactors, probably less than 50 years advanced from their first spaceflight. Veltar nodded. This was exactly what he expected from a primitive species. Weapons? Chemical-based projectiles and what appears to be basic energy weapons, sir. Nothing that could penetrate our shields. Their entire ship probably cost less to build than one of our fighter craft. Other officers in the command center laughed. It was amusing to think that such a backward species would dare to challenge the hegemony. Sir, another officer reported, we're receiving requests for instructions from the fleet commanders. Many are asking why we don't just destroy the vessel outright. Because, Veltar explained patiently, we need to set an example. Other primitive species are watching. If we simply destroy them, it looks like we feared them. By capturing them alive, we show the galaxy that we are strong but merciful rulers. Meanwhile, aboard the Teguk's Fury, Chief Engineer Dowan Kim was making final preparations in the engine room. The space around him hummed with energy that no alien scanner could detect. Computer, status report on quantum tunnel drives, Dowan said quietly. All quantum drives operating at full capacity, the computer responded. Space-time distortion field stable. Current position can be maintained or instantly changed to any location within a 50,000-kilometer radius. Dowan smiled. The aliens thought they were looking at simple fusion drives because that's what the human masking technology wanted them to see. In reality, the Teguk's Fury was powered by controlled quantum tunneling that could bend space itself. On the bridge, communications officer Hana Choi was listening carefully to alien transmissions. Her equipment was far more advanced than anything the hegemony had ever seen. But to their scanners, it looked like basic radio systems. Captain, she reported quietly, I've broken their communication encryption. They're treating this as a minor police action. Most of their fleet commanders are actually annoyed at having to deal with us. What about their battle plans? Asked Tactical Officer Mina Lee. They're planning to use one destroyer to disable our engines with a low-power energy blast. The commander of that ship is named Mordak, and he's complaining that this assignment is beneath him. Captain Jiho listened to this information while watching the alien formations on the main screen. Everything was going according to plan. The aliens' confidence was their weakness. Dr. Yuna Shin was studying the psychological patterns in the alien communications. As the mission's expert on alien behavior, she found their attitudes very interesting. Captain, they're displaying classic signs of technological superiority complex. They believe their way of developing technology is the only correct way. Because we took a different path, they assume we must be inferior. Different path? Jiho asked. Yes, sir. They developed energy-based weapons and shields first, then built their ships around those technologies. We started with materials science and quantum physics. Our approaches are so different that their scanners literally cannot understand what they're looking at. In the Nexus Gate command center, Veltar was growing impatient. Why are they not responding to our warnings? Do they think we're not serious? Sir, maybe they don't understand our language properly, suggested Crixon. Primitive species often have trouble with complex communications. Send them a visual demonstration, Veltar ordered. Have the destroyer dominants fire a single warning shot past their bow. Make sure they understand we mean business. On the bridge of the destroyer dominants, Captain Mordak received his orders with annoyance. A warning shot for a primitive vessel? This is ridiculous. Their entire ship probably can't even hurt our shields. Sir, his weapons officer said, should I use minimum power? Yes, minimum power. We don't want to accidentally destroy them. The commander wants them captured, not vaporized. Back on the Taeguk's Fury, the crew watched the alien destroyer move closer. It was a beautiful ship, sleek and powerful, with energy weapons that glowed like small stars. "They're targeting us," Mina reported. "Energy buildup suggests a very low power shot, probably meant as a warning." "Perfect," Jiho said. "Dowan, are you ready to show them our first surprise?" In the engine room, Dowan's hands moved over controls that looked simple but controlled technology beyond alien understanding. "Ready, Captain. When they fire, I can move us anywhere you want." "Hana, can you record everything?" "Yes, sir. I'm already broadcasting back to Earth on quantum channels they can't detect. Everyone back home will see this." "Mina, prepare our response." "One shot, but make it count." Mina checked her weapons display. The aliens thought they were looking at simple chemical rockets and basic energy weapons. They had no idea that humanity had learned to control antimatter and disguise it as primitive explosives. "Target locked, Captain. When you give the order, I can put a controlled antimatter charge exactly where you want it." Dr. Yuna monitored the alien emotional states through their communications. "Captain, they're completely relaxed. To them, this is routine intimidation. They have no fear or respect for us at all." Jiho nodded. "In a few seconds, that would change forever." "Incoming fire," Mina announced as the alien destroyer released a low-power energy beam toward them. "Now." "Dowan," Jiho ordered. The Taeguk's Fury seemed to flicker and suddenly appeared 5 kilometers away from where it had been. The alien energy beam passed harmlessly through empty space. In the Nexus Gate Command Center, alarms began sounding. "Sir, the human vessel just moved, instantly. Our sensors couldn't track the movement." Veltar frowned. "Moved? What do you mean, moved?" "It teleported, sir. One second it was there, the next second it was somewhere else." Veltar stared at the display. This was not possible with primitive technology. On the Taeguk's Fury, Captain Jiho gave his next order. "Mina, return fire. One shot. Let them know we're serious." The human ship fired what looked like a simple projectile weapon. To alien scanners, it appeared to be nothing more dangerous than an explosive chemical warhead. The projectile struck the destroyer Dominance directly in the center. The alien ship vanished in a flash of pure energy as matter met antimatter in perfect destruction. Silence filled both the Nexus Gate, Command Center, and the bridge of the Taeguk's Fury. Then every alarm in the alien facility began screaming at once. Captain Jiho Park stood on the bridge of the Taeguk's Fury, watching the massive structure grow larger on the main screen. The Nexus Gate was unlike anything humanity had ever built. It stretched across space like a giant metal ring, covered in weapons and defense platforms. Hundreds of alien warships moved around it like angry insects. "Captain, we're getting a signal," said Hana Choi from her communication station. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as alien voices filled the bridge. "Unknown vessel, you are approaching restricted space." The alien voice was cold and commanding. "Identify yourself immediately or face destruction." Jiho looked at his crew. They had traveled for months to reach this place. Earth was dying, and this was humanity's only chance to find new worlds and resources. He pressed the communication button. "This is Captain Jiho Park of the Earth Defense Force vessel Taeguk's Fury. We request passage through the Nexus Gate for diplomatic purposes." The alien response came quickly, and it was not friendly. "Diplomatic purposes? You primitive species dare to request entry to the inner spiral?" There was laughter in the alien voice. "I am Commander Veltar of the Hegemony Defense Force. Your kind is not welcome here." Mina Lee, the tactical officer, checked her readings. "Captain, I count over 800 enemy ships. Their weapons are all pointed at us." Jiho remained calm. He had expected this reaction. The aliens called themselves the Hegemony, and they controlled access to the galaxy's most important trade routes. For thousands of years, they had kept other species out of the inner spiral, claiming it was for the protection of advanced civilizations. "Commander Veltar," Jiho said into the microphone, "we come in peace. Earth is facing serious problems, and we need access to new resources and trade partners. We're willing to follow all your laws and customs." "Peace?" Veltar's voice was full of contempt. "Your species has barely learned to leave your own star system. Our scanners show your ship is made of basic metals and powered by primitive fusion. You have no business in civilized space." Dowan Kim, the chief engineer, smiled quietly at his control panel. The aliens were seeing exactly what the humans wanted them to see. The Taeguk's Fury looked like a simple warship from the outside, but it carried secrets that would shock the entire galaxy. Sir, Hana whispered to the captain, I'm picking up their internal communications. They're not taking us seriously at all. They think we're just another primitive species that wandered too far from home. Jiho nodded. This was good news. The element of surprise was humanity's greatest weapon right now. On the screen, more alien ships moved into position. They were beautiful in a deadly way, with smooth curves and glowing energy weapons. Each ship was 3 times larger than the Taiguk's Fury. Captain, Mina reported, they're surrounding us. Classic battle formation. Dr. Yuna Shin, the mission scientist and diplomat, studied the alien communication patterns on her screen. Captain, their psychology is interesting. They're not just confident. They're absolutely certain of their superiority. This could be a weakness we can use. Veltar's voice returned to the speakers. Human vessel, you have 30 seconds to turn around and leave this system. If you do not comply, we will disable your ship and take your crew prisoner. This is your only warning. Jiho looked around the bridge at his crew. These were Earth's best people, chosen for this desperate mission. They all knew the risks. If they failed here, humanity might never get another chance to join the galactic community. Dowan, Jiho said quietly, are all systems ready? The engineer checked his panels carefully. All systems are green, Captain. The masking fields are holding. They still think we're running on basic fusion power. Mina, weapon status. All weapon systems are online and hidden, sir. They have no idea what we're really carrying. Hana, can you break their communications if needed? Yes, sir. I've already mapped their entire network. When you give the word, I can shut down their coordination completely. Jiho took a deep breath. Everything humanity had worked for came down to this moment. Earth scientists had spent 50 years developing new technologies in secret, preparing for the day when they would have to face the galaxy's established powers. Commander Veltar, Jiho said into the microphone, we respectfully refuse to turn back. We have traveled too far and sacrificed too much to give up now. We request safe passage through your territory. The silence that followed was heavy with tension. Finally, Veltar spoke and his voice was filled with anger. Then you have chosen destruction, primitive fool. All ships prepare to fire. Disable their engines but keep the crew alive. They will serve as an example to other species who dare challenge the hegemony's authority. On the main screen, the alien ships began to glow as they charged their weapons. Energy buildup readings appeared on Mina's tactical display. Captain, she said, they're preparing to fire. Energy signatures show they're using restraint. They really do just want to disable us. Jiho almost smiled. The aliens were being careful because they thought humans were weak and primitive. They had no idea they were about to face technology that would change everything. All hands prepare for combat, Jiho announced over the ship's communication system. Remember, we're not here to conquer anyone. We're here to open the door for humanity's future. Veltar's final transmission came through clearly. Fire at will. Show these primitives what happens when they challenge their betters. The first alien energy beams reached out toward the Taiguk's Fury like fingers of death. On the bridge, nobody moved except Jiho, who calmly gave his first order. Dowan dropped the masking fields. Mina, evasive maneuvers. Hana, jam their communications. Let's show them what humanity can really do. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea what they had just started. Commander Veltar stared at the tactical display, his mind racing with possibilities he had never considered before. The human fleet hung in space before the Nexus Gate like a threat and a promise at the same time. Sir, his second-in-command Crixon whispered urgently, if we let them through, everything changes. The hegemony's authority will be questioned throughout the galaxy. And if we don't let them through, Veltar replied quietly, they'll destroy us and take the gate anyway. Not if we use the Omega Protocol. Veltar turned sharply to look at his subordinate. The Omega Protocol was the Nexus Gate's ultimate weapon, a device capable of destroying entire solar systems. It had never been used, but its existence was known throughout hegemony space as the final guarantee of their power. You're suggesting we commit genocide to maintain our authority? I'm suggesting we show the galaxy what happens to species that challenge the natural order, Crixon said firmly. If we let these humans win, every primitive species will think they can defy us. On the bridge of the Taiguk's Fury, Communications Officer Hana Choi suddenly looked up from her station with alarm. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy buildup from the Nexus Gate's central core. They're charging some kind of superweapon. How massive? Asked Tactical Officer Mina Lee. Enough to destroy everything in this solar system, sir. Maybe more. Captain Jiho felt cold realization wash over him. They'd rather destroy everyone, including themselves, than admit they were wrong about humanity. Dr. Yuna Shin shook her head sadly. It's not about being wrong, Captain. It's about power. They've controlled the galaxy for so long that they can't imagine any other way of existence. Captain, Chief Engineer Doan Kim's voice came over the intercom. I'm reading the weapon's design through our quantum scanners. It's a space-time disruptor. When it fires, it will tear apart the fabric of reality in this region. Can we stop it? Maybe. But we'll have to do something that's never been tried before. Jiho made his decision quickly. Do it. Whatever it takes. In the Nexus Gate Command Center, Veltar watched the weapon charging process with growing dread. He had made his choice, but that didn't make it easier to live with. Sir, Omega Protocol at 60% charge, reported the weapons officer. Sir, the communications officer added, we're receiving distress calls from civilian ships throughout the system. They're begging us to stop the charging sequence. Civilian ships? Veltar had forgotten about the merchant vessels and passenger transports that regularly traveled through this area. Yes, sir. Over 200 vessels with more than 50,000 civilians aboard. They're all within the destruction range. Veltar closed his eyes. 50,000 innocent people would die to preserve hegemony authority. Was it worth it? Sir, we could order the civilian ships to evacuate, suggested Crixon. There isn't time. The weapon will be ready to fire in 3 minutes. On the human ship, Doan Kim was working frantically in the engineering section. Around him, quantum field generators hummed with power as he prepared humanity's most desperate gambit. Computer, initiate space-time manipulation protocol. Prepare to create a localized wormhole on my command. Warning, the computer replied. This procedure has never been tested under combat conditions. Success probability is estimated at 47%. Better than 0%, Doan muttered, continuing his preparations. On the bridge, Captain Jiho opened a communication channel to the Nexus Gate one final time. Commander Veltar, we know you're charging a superweapon. Please reconsider. Destroying this system won't solve your problems. It will only create new ones. Veltar's image appeared on the screen and Jiho could see the anguish in the alien commander's eyes. Captain Park, you've left me no choice. The hegemony has maintained galactic peace for 3,000 years. I cannot allow that to end on my watch. Peace through fear isn't real peace, Dr. Yuna Shin said gently. It's just delayed conflict, perhaps. But it's the only peace we know how to create. Then let us show you a different way, Jiho urged. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to be part of it. I'm sorry, Captain. But some choices cannot be unmade. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge of the Teguk's Fury in tense silence. Dowan, status report. Jiho called out. Ready, Captain. When they fire their weapon, I can create a wormhole that will redirect the destructive energy back toward its source. But I need perfect timing. Will it destroy the gate? Not destroy it, sir. But it will overload their systems and give us control of the facility. Mina Lee looked up from her tactical station. Captain, there are 50,000 civilians in this system. If we mess this up, we won't mess it up, Jiho said firmly. We can't afford to. In the Nexus Gate Command Center, final preparations were complete. Omega Protocol at 100% charge, the weapons officer reported. Ready to fire on your command, sir. Veltar looked around the command center one last time. These officers had served the hegemony faithfully for years. They deserved to know the truth. When I give this order, he said quietly, the galaxy will never be the same. The age of hegemony control will either be preserved forever, or it will end in the next few seconds. Sir, are you having second thoughts? Crixon asked. Yes, but I'm giving the order anyway. Fire. The Omega weapon activated with a sound like reality tearing apart. Destructive energy that could unmake solar systems burst from the Nexus Gate's central core, racing outward to destroy everything in its path. At that exact moment, Doan Kim activated the human space-time manipulation system. The universe twisted around the Teguk's Fury as quantum fields created a temporary wormhole directly in front of the approaching wave of destruction. The Omega weapon's energy disappeared into the wormhole and emerged again behind the human ship, racing back toward the Nexus Gate at the speed of light. Incoming energy wave, screamed an officer in the gate's command center. It's our own weapon coming back at us. Veltar watched with fascination as his ultimate weapon returned to destroy his own facility. There was something almost poetic about it. The returning energy struck the Nexus Gate's shields and overloaded every system in the massive structure. Lights failed throughout the facility as backup systems struggled to maintain life support. All weapons offline, reported the tactical officer. Shield generators destroyed. We're completely defenseless. In the darkness of the emergency lighting, Veltar realized that the humans had won. They could have let the Omega weapon destroy everything, but instead they had found a way to defeat it without killing anyone. Sir, the communications officer said quietly, we're receiving a transmission from the human ship. Put it through. Captain Jiho's voice filled the darkened command center. Commander Veltar, this is Captain Park. We're preparing to board the Nexus Gate. Will you surrender the facility peacefully, or do we need to take it by force? Veltar looked around at his officers. They were waiting for his decision, but he could see in their eyes that they already knew what it would be. The age of hegemony control was over. Captain Park, Veltar said into the microphone, the Nexus Gate surrenders to human authority. We yield. The words felt strange in his mouth, but also somehow liberating. For the first time in 3,000 years, the galaxy's most important checkpoint was no longer under hegemony control. 3 weeks had passed since the battle for the Nexus Gate, and the massive orbital facility looked very different now. Human engineering teams worked alongside alien technicians to repair the damage caused by the Omega weapon's backlash. Where once there had been only hegemony ships, now vessels from dozens of different species moved freely through the gate's traffic control zone. Admiral Jiho Park stood in what had once been Commander Veltar's private office, looking out at the bustling activity. His promotion had come directly from Earth Command, along with orders to establish the first human diplomatic station in galactic space. Admiral, Communications Officer Hana Choi entered the office with a data tablet. We've received applications for passage through the gate from 47 different species today. That's more than the hegemony used to process in a year. Any problems? A few. Some species are asking for military escorts because they're afraid of pirate attacks. Apparently, the hegemony used to provide security for approved travelers. Jiho nodded. What's our response? Dr. Yuna suggests we offer joint patrol missions. Species that want security can provide their own ships to work with our patrol vessels. It gives them protection while teaching them to defend themselves. Good idea. Approve it. Dr. Yuna Shin had become the head of the new Interspecies Council, a governing body that included representatives from every species that wanted to participate in galactic affairs. The hegemony had ruled through fear and control, but the new system was based on cooperation and mutual benefit. Admiral, Hana continued. There's also a message from former Commander Veltar. He's requesting a meeting. Jiho was surprised. After the surrender, Veltar and his surviving officers had been given the choice of remaining as advisors or returning to hegemony space. Most had chosen to stay, finding the new system more interesting than the old one. Send him in. A few minutes later, Veltar entered the office. The former hegemony commander looked different now, less rigid, somehow more relaxed. Working with the humans had changed him. Admiral Park, thank you for seeing me, Veltar said, settling into a chair. I wanted to discuss the situation in the outer territories. What situation? Several hegemony worlds are requesting permission to join the new galactic community. They want to send representatives to Dr. Shin's council. Jiho smiled. That's good news. What's the problem? The problem is the hegemony high command. They're calling these worlds traitors and threatening military action to keep them in line. This was more serious. Jiho had been expecting the hegemony leadership to eventually respond to the loss of the Nexus Gate, but he had hoped they would choose negotiation over war. How serious are these threats? Very serious. The High Admiral has assembled a fleet of over 2,000 ships. They're planning to retake the Nexus Gate and punish any species that has cooperated with humanity. Jiho felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. Earth had sent one ship to open diplomatic relations. Now he was facing the possibility of a galactic war. When will they arrive? Our intelligence suggests 6 weeks, maybe 7. That's not much time to prepare. Admiral, Veltar said carefully, there's something else you should know. Many of the hegemony fleet commanders don't want to fight this war. They've heard what happened here. And they're afraid of facing human technology. Then why are they coming? Because the High Admiral has convinced them that humanity is a threat to all galactic civilization. He's telling them that if humans are allowed to spread their influence, chaos will follow. Jiho thought about this problem. A defensive war would be devastating for everyone involved, but there might be another solution. Veltar, do you think these fleet commanders might be willing to listen to reason? Some of them, yes. But they would need proof that humanity's intentions are peaceful. What kind of proof? Before Veltar could answer, Chief Engineer Doan Kim's voice came over the intercom. Admiral Park, to the main control room, please. We have visitors. Jiho and Veltar made their way to the control center, where they found Dr. Yuna Shin working with Tactical Officer Mina Lee at the main display. The screen showed dozens of ships approaching the Nexus Gate. What are we looking at? Jiho asked. Refugees, Yuna replied. 3 different species whose homeworlds were attacked by hegemony forces for requesting permission to join our community. They're asking for protection. Jiho studied the display. The approaching ships were clearly civilian vessels, overcrowded with families fleeing their homes. How many people? Nearly 100,000, Mina reported. They have nowhere else to go. This was exactly the kind of situation Jiho had feared. The new galactic community was becoming a target for hegemony retaliation, and innocent people were suffering. Can we accommodate them? Short-term, yes, Dowan said. I've been working with alien engineers to expand the station's living areas. We can house them temporarily, but they'll need permanent homes eventually. Admiral, Hana said from her station, I'm also receiving messages from 17 other species. They want to join our community, but they're afraid of hegemony retaliation. Jiho realized that the situation was reaching a critical point. Humanity had opened the door to galactic freedom, but now they had to help defend that freedom for everyone. Dr. Shin, call an emergency council meeting. I want representatives from every species we're in contact with. What are you planning? Veltar asked. Something that's never been tried before in galactic history, Jiho replied. A truly voluntary alliance of free species. 2 hours later, the council chamber was filled with representatives from over 30 different species. The meeting was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of one powerful species dictating terms to others, everyone had an equal voice. Friends, Dr. Yuna began, we face a choice that will determine the future of our community. The hegemony is preparing to use force to maintain their old system of control. We can either surrender and return to the old ways, or we can stand together and defend our freedom. A representative from the Cathani species spoke up. Dr. Shin, with respect, most of us don't have military forces capable of fighting the hegemony fleet. You're right, Admiral Jiho agreed. In a traditional war, we would lose. But this doesn't have to be a traditional war. What do you mean? Asked the representative from the Zoran people. I mean, we show the galaxy that there's a better way than violence, Jiho explained. We prove that cooperation is stronger than domination. Veltar stood up. Admiral Park, may I address the council? Jiho nodded, and the former hegemony commander moved to the center of the room. 3 weeks ago, I was your enemy, Veltar said simply. I believed that the hegemony way was the only way to maintain peace in the galaxy. I was wrong. He looked around the room at the diverse group of species representatives. In 3 weeks, I've seen more genuine cooperation and mutual respect than I saw in 30 years of hegemony service. You've created something here that's worth defending. But how do we defend it? Asked the Cathani representative. By doing what the humans did when they first arrived here, Veltar replied. By showing the hegemony fleet that their assumptions are wrong. Admiral Jiho smiled as he realized what Veltar was suggesting. A demonstration, Jiho said. Not of military power, but of unity. Dr. Yuna caught on immediately. When the hegemony fleet arrives, they'll expect to face scattered, frightened species begging for mercy. Instead, they'll find a united community that chooses to stand together. And if that doesn't stop them, ask the Zorn representative. Then we'll defend ourselves, Mina Lee said firmly. But we'll do it as allies, not as victims. The council voted unanimously to stand together against the hegemony threat. 6 weeks later, the hegemony fleet arrived at the Nexus Gate to find something they had never expected. Instead of the small human force they thought they were facing, they encountered ships from 43 different species, all working together under a unified command. Admiral Jiho stood on the bridge of the expanded Tegux Fury. now the flagship of the Free Species Alliance. Around him, officers from a dozen different worlds worked side by side. Incoming transmission from the Hegemony Fleet, Hana announced. Put it through. The image of an imposing alien appeared on the main screen. This was High Admiral Korath, Supreme Commander of Hegemony Forces. This is High Admiral Korath of the Hegemony Defense Force. You are occupying territory belonging to the Galactic Hegemony. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. High Admiral Korath, Chiho replied calmly. This is Admiral Park of the Free Species Alliance. This territory now belongs to all species equally. You are welcome to join us, or you may return to Hegemony space. The choice is yours. Join you? Korath laughed. You're a collection of primitive species led by humans who barely discovered space travel, perhaps. Chiho agreed. But we're free. The question is, are you? The transmission ended, and the two fleets faced each other across the void. But instead of opening fire, something unexpected happened. Ships began leaving the Hegemony fleet one by one, and moving toward the Alliance formation. Admiral, Hana reported with amazement, we're receiving surrender transmissions from over 300 Hegemony vessels. Their crews are requesting permission to join the Alliance. Chiho watched as High Admiral Korath's overwhelming force melted away, leaving him with less than half his original fleet.